Hey guys. So, today I had a conversation with a colleague and it revolved around guys, specifically our preferences, taste, what we look for, what we like in a guy, what turns us on. In other words, a woman to woman conversation about who is cute and who isn't, who's hot and who isn't. And needless to say, this always ends up being a fun conversation because people are different from you. And even if there is someone who would be considered by pretty much everyone that is attractive, not everyone is going to find that person attractive. So the conversation got interesting because I'm the kind of person who's trying to sit there and be like, oh, I don't look at external beauty. All I look at is the person's personality. All I pay attention to is the stuff that the eye cannot see. It's all about the person's soul and what they are like, their personality, the sweet stuff that they do. And then I'm like, but we gotta keep it real. There are some motherfuckers out there who are just ugly. And you just got to admit it that no matter what the beauty standard is, some people will just be seen or perceived as grotesque, just bad looking, whatever. I have been called ugly and I have never been offended because I used to be an ugly ass motherfucker when I was growing up. I did not do myself any favors with the kind of clothes that I wore, the fact that I would not do anything about my hair and my eyebrows were bushy as hell and stuff like that. So I cannot sit there and pretend that I am going to be attractive if I'm not doing anything to help my cause. So when it comes to having an opinion about someone else, you don't want to be mean about it. You don't want to be like, oh, good God, you're ugly, dude, or girl, wow, you're just ugly, right? Because then you're just being an asshole. But the thing of it is that you cannot keep someone living in a bubble. Are you really a bad person for doing that? Because there's some people out there who I personally would love to just be like, you know what? You don't need me to tell you that you're ugly because I'm sure that you see that in the mirror and the mirror tells you every single day of your life that you're an ugly person. But at least you work on your personality, you work on other traits to boost yourself. So it's like saying just because you are not good at math does not mean that you are condemned to have a very shitty job or you cannot ever find success in your life. So if you are looking to be a model, you need to maybe bring some other highlights to the table beyond your physical appearance, if that is even possible, because that is an industry in which you are judged by how attractive you are. And unfortunately, there is a beauty standard going on. Like it's been established what is considered attractive and what is not. But for me personally, when it comes to the dating sector, like I have said before, I have had my instances where I have like had crushes on individuals who I would have never thunk that I would have had a crush for or a crush on. So I cannot say that if you're ugly, you are inherently condemned to be single for the rest of your life. Because let me tell you, there are some people out there who, when I find out that they're in a relationship, I'm like, whoa, that is awesome because if you guide yourself by your external appearance, not even I would mess with you. But I am pretty sure that that person has worked on other aspects about themselves. Maybe they have a lot of money, or maybe they are funny, maybe they have skills, just anything, just anything. But it's interesting because no matter how much we try to focus on the positive things about people beyond what the eyes meet, what you see is important. It matters. You don't want to be with someone who's like very, very dirty or something. That's just unattractive. Nobody ever deliberately picks to hang out next to a person who's just absolutely filthy, unless you do it as a profession. Like, say, you're a doctor cutting open other humans, you are going to smell some crazy shit. So you are prepared for that. You have your stomach prepared for that. You are anticipating it. But if you're thinking about establishing a life, living with someone, having kids with someone, I am pretty sure that that stuff is going to affect your opinion. I would not want someone who's filthy and who is going to keep me sneezing from how bad they smell all the time. But overall, it's like, can you handle the pressure of the fact that there's people out there who are going to be looking at your partner and being like, why are you with that person? Especially if you're considered someone who's really attractive, someone who's like blessed in that department because your physical appearance just lines up with the narrative of what's considered a beauty standard, then if you are caught with someone who does not meet that criteria, what do you do? How do you deal with that pressure? Can you do it? Because I find that there's more to a relationship than just the two of you. Other people are going to try to be involved, and no matter what, opinions are going to affect you. You're going to have second thoughts on occasion and want to reconsider some stuff. So, can you truly ever be a righteous human who's like, you know what? I can focus on just the good stuff about people without letting their appearance bother me. And I mean that in every sense of the matter, like not just for dating, but everything. Say, if someone shows up looking for a job and they exhibit a certain appearance, wouldn't that affect your perception of them? Wouldn't you have a bias for a moment and be like, you know what, this is not the ideal person that I would like in my team? But then they have a very impressive resume, and you might be like, you know what, sure, let's give him a chance. Because in the end, we're looking for skill. We're not looking for people to be models. But unfortunately, perception is important. And on top of that, the image of things is important. So if you're someone who's considered ugly, just how do you handle that? How do you go about life when that happens to you, especially in the dating department? Because I would imagine that because a lot of people do not turn to you as, the first choice, then are you condemned to settle with someone who's equally as ugly as you? So I know that this is sounding crazy, but in the end, the real conversation that I had with my colleague was, well, for the most part, it's really, 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 really difficult for me to find a dude as unattractive. Usually, what needs to happen is you're just old as hell. And the reason I perceive you as unattractive when you're old is because, I mean, there are disadvantages to being with someone who is old. So I feel like beyond the first glance of, oh, you're old, so therefore you're going to be tired more often, you're going to be this and that, it's more of, it's not what's best for me as a mate, you're not definitely my best choice immediately. Like a younger person is more compatible with me since I am young as well. But when it comes to the overall older person experience, someone who's old is not inherently ugly because I have met older guys who I'm like, how the hell are you in your 50s and you're still like, attractive? So it really depends on you as an individual, of course. But for me personally, I like to ask the question and be like, if you're someone who you're considered and perceived as ugly, how does that affect you? How is it like to go around life not getting compliments and stuff like that? See what I mean? Because for me, it's like more often than not, I get compliments and I can say that I am grateful for it. It is a boost to my self esteem, but at the same time, the beauty privilege, if you want to call it that, it has its costs. And that's something that people don't think about. Like, there's going to be people approaching you for all kinds of reasons. How do you determine who has a good intention and whom doesn't? Because unfortunately for me, I have had people that, of course, because I am attractive, then they're coming toward me, but with other intentions. And I'm like, no, 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 no. That's not what it needs to be about. Or the stereotype of if you're attractive, you cannot have brains. So therefore, you are going to be not treated with the same degree of respect, or you may need to prove yourself extra for some reason, like, oh, you cannot be attractive and smart at the same time. Oh, that doesn't exist in like a woman. But Sometimes that's just stuff that comes out of a movie. Movies are scripted, but actually in real life, I have heard that comment like, "Oh wow, you're actually attractive and also intelligent." And I'm like, "Yeah, anybody with complex thoughts can be intelligent. Like as a human being, you have the capacity to develop that stuff unless you have something impeding you from accomplishing that." But anyway, guys, that pretty much concludes my rambling. I know this was incredibly random, but it's just that I never really thought about it from that point of view. Like when you're actively dating someone who is clearly ugly physically, that pressure that I'm sure you feel at some point of maybe people's quiet opinions, which is they're not actively saying this stuff to you, but you know that that's what they may be thinking because in society doesn't embrace aging and looking bad. So just how do you handle that without it getting to you? So I know it's kind of weird. Hopefully, I have presented my point in a way that this can trigger a conversation, but I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting. Eventually, I'll get old and probably ugly. So I'm sure that someone out there is gonna be like, "Look at that ugly ass motherfucker." But well, until that happens, I just wanna, just live life, I guess, and learn as much as I can. Hello, Jordan. I find it interesting some women want big boobs and wear lots of makeup because they think men want it. I like no makeup and small boobs myself, but a pretty smile is most attractive. You know what? I was telling someone the other day about how, for some reason, I find that guys are really obsessed with a girl who is smiling. Because a lot of the times I have gotten it myself, which is if I'm not showing teeth, for some reason something has to be wrong with me. Like, motherfucker, no. Just because I'm not smiling doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me. Or that there's something that needs to be addressed or that there is a problem. You're the problem. By you saying that I need to smile more. You're being the problem. Because just because I'm not smiling doesn't mean that there's something wrong. Like, it's just crazy. Like, you are trying to implement that into me. Like I'm a perfectly happy person, but just because I ain't showing teeth doesn't mean that I'm not. It's just crazy. It's like, how about the people who put up a certain face and they're smiling and stuff, and they're one of the most depressed and miserable and more fucked people in the world? How many times do you not hear stories of people who have killed themselves, and people are like, "That person killed themselves. Why? They were so happy and so fun to be around, etc., etc." And that turned out to be the most broken ass person you ever knew. So I just hate it when people tell me, "Why are you so serious?" Maybe I'm focused. Maybe I'm in pain. Maybe it could be anything. But for some reason, you have to associate it with negative. Like being in pain would be a negative thing. But I am in pain pretty much all the time. But you guys wouldn't know it unless I told you, right? So it's just crazy. Like I get it. I can see how people can be perceived as more attractive when they're smiling. But to like be obsessed with that, to me that's just crazy, because someone can be looking serious, and if I know you personally and you look serious, my instinct is going to be to ask if there's something wrong if you're normally not that serious looking. But there's some people who just never fucking smile, but they are hilarious and they can be the kindest and sweetest people. See what I mean? So but I think it's I don't know. Y'all need to chill out. Like, okay, a girl is more attractive when she's smiling. We get it, but to bring that up as a way to start a conversation, it's just awkward as hell. At least for me. Like, why are you so serious? There is so much stuff in this world that you can have a discussion with me about, and you're already jumping into the personal sector, like trying to find out if there's something wrong with me. Like, no, no, chill out. If there's something majorly wrong with me and I feel like sharing it, I will bring it up without your prompt. Trust me. Now that you mention it, a smart girl is attractive too. And I'm finding that people are saying that as well. Like I said earlier, maybe the ugly ass person is ugly physically, but their brains is what attracts people, especially if you have brains to be funny, or you have brains to build up things, or maybe you are physically adept. So, you know, I don't know, it could be a number of things. Because how many times have you looked at someone and you're like, you know what, if this person loses 80 pounds, they could be really hot. So it really depends what you perceive as ugly, because maybe I'm considered someone pretty, but in another culture, someone may see me as ugly because I'm small or like too skinny. There are some societies that prefer for women to have a few pounds to them. Something about them looking like they're more able to bear and care for children. But in the West, of course, we're obsessed with our image. So if I were to add some 50 pounds to me, I'm going to be like talked about that. It's gonna be like, oh, what happened to you? You know, you used to look better when you lost weight, or you've gotten so fat. Especially conversations amongst women. I feel like men are not as cruel when it comes to that dialogue, but when it comes to girls, we point out to each other when we are getting fat. We just do. And I personally am a victim of that with my friends. Like, whether you're male or female, I'll just look at you and I'm like, you have gained 9 pounds, or you have lost 7 pounds. Like, I saw this one guy today who I hadn't seen in a month, and I'm like, Joe, you definitely changed your diet, bro, because I can just see how slim your frame has gotten. So I guess when it comes to those details, women can just perceive it a little easier, because a lot of people, particularly guys, they tell me they cannot tell anything. And I hear that guys cannot ever tell when a girl gets a haircut or something. You guys tell me if that's true. But it's insane. A lot of something else that I hear a lot of people say is never cut your hair. And I'm like, bitch, when you have this hair, you can decide what you're going to do with the hair. Worry about the one that's on your scalp, and then you can come to me and tell me that you feel that I rock a long hair better, or that I have a short hair that, short hairstyle that I can rock better. I don't mind you telling me your opinion. Like, hey, I like it when you have long hair. I like it when you have short hair. But to tell me never cut your hair, it's like, no, I can do whatever I want with my appearance. So yeah, it's I don't mind being told good stuff or bad stuff. Like, if you think that I don't know, say my glasses are ugly, tell me. Tell me what the fuck I should wear. Should they be bigger? Should they be smaller? Should I have contacts? I hear that all the time. When I first started wearing glasses, people told me you should really get contacts. And I'm like, I don't see why I should really get contacts, or why I need contacts. That's another way people would phrase it. Like, you really need to get contacts. I don't see why I need contacts when glasses can get the job done. But but that's what I'm saying. That perception, obsession with appearance, like, what's that about? Is that something that can be remedied with? Is that truly something evolutionary and we will never be able to escape it? Or is it just a cultural thing? Because I honestly think that it's a cultural thing more than anything. So, yeah, there are traits that I can deem more attractive on a male. For instance, I like for him to be strong, in shape, have stamina, be responsible. Like, if you can manifest yourself independently, that's super attractive. You can get stuff done. You don't need me to be nagging. Like, hey, dude, remember to do this. Don't forget to get that. If you're someone forgetful, I may get frustrated because I feel like I have a really good memory. I can retain like pretty much anything. But if you're someone who needs to be pushed at everything, or you need to be told what to do and when to do it, that's a turnoff. Because I'm looking for a man, not a motherfucking child. If I wanted a motherfucking child, I would have a child already. But if you're a guy and you need help with absolutely everything, it's like, oh, how are you useful for me? I like to think that I am useful for you. Like, I try to stay in shape, I try to take care of myself, I keep my job. I'm not looking for a job every 3 months. and I'm not severely needy for stuff, like I can afford my own stuff. Occasionally, I get in a tight situation where I may need to borrow a couple of bucks and then I get it back to you. But if you are just absolutely useless and defenseless, like what in the hell? I cannot take you seriously. You need to be competitive somehow. So am I a terrible person for that? Or is that just the way biology works? I like to think that's the way biology works because I'm sure that you, as a man, have expectations from me. And that's perfectly fine. But to just sit there and be like, nah, honey, you're perfect the way you are, no. No, there is stuff that can be better. And if there's stuff that I see in you that could be better, I will point it out in the same manner that I would expect for you to point it out if I'm the one who's lacking on some aspects. But I do the very best that I can to make sure that you don't need to say that to me at all. I try to stay in shape. I try to keep my job. I try to make like intelligent decisions, and I keep myself out of trouble. Stuff like that. I'm trying to be responsible so that you can see me as someone who is worthy, and I will not make your life more complicated than it needs to be. If you're going to be with someone, it's because that person is going to add to your life positive stuff, not complicated. I don't have a problem with lifting people and helping you get somewhere that you need to be. But if you're not helping yourself, why do I need to be involved with you? See what I mean? So if someone out there has an attitude that's like that, where they demand stuff from you, you're lacking something. So look at that person and be like, you know what? You're motivating me, but even though you sound really messed up and just like a negative person, in the end, you're saying something that's true. I could be better. I need to get better if I have goals that I want to fulfill. And that's the only time I become a bug to someone. If I see potential in someone and for some reason they're not getting anywhere, what the fuck are you doing? But but then I understand that there's a proper way to go about it. So when I say it in here, I may sound like I'm a complete bitch, but in real life, I deal with it in a more mature, more better put together way. Not sugarcoat it, but I know how to deliver my message. But here, we're just hanging out. I'm just being informal, but it's just insane that people are too sheltered these days. And I'm like, no, you need to come out of that shell and live life for what it really is. Because outside of your family, outside of your circle of friends, people are going to be absolutely truthful to you, and you need to be able to handle that. So maybe that's the reason I have issues with the college setting. College just feels like a huge place where you just get protected all the time, and they don't give you real life examples and experiences, like at least certain campuses. So I cannot take that route very seriously. So that's why I'm over here just trying to mind my business. As someone whose neutral expression looks angry, I totally get the smile thing. Um, your neutral expression is not angry. Your neutral expression to me is just that neutral. Like, I think this is my neutral face. Does this girl need to smile? Am I a Godzilla? Am I intimidating anyone out there? Like, yeah, that's usually my neutral face. I guess the corner of my lip can lift sometimes, it depends. But that's literally my neutral look. If you have issues with that, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. It's the face I was born with. And I cannot just constantly keep these muscles like activated because that stuff gets sore at some point. It's just weird. Maybe had you come see me earlier in the day, I would have my smile like as wide and shiny as it can be. But if I'm near the end of my day, I'm not really trying to go out of my way using all that extra energy. I know facial expressions really don't cost that much, but I'm just saying, you need to take into account the human factor. Do you have any idea what I have gone through in my day? Like, I can tell you guys right now, I'm tired as hell. Like, I wish I could just drop dead in bed right now, but I'm not going to. After I'm done with this, I'm going to the gym. Because, a girl has to maintain her shape, and you cannot do that. The body doesn't do that by itself. You have to work for it. So if I have that attitude of, oh, I'm tired, so I deserve to be, No, you will never train and get better and be fit. See what I mean? So, anyways, I would hope that a guy sees that in me. You know what, girl? You just did an 8 hour shift. You got up like at fucking 5 a.m. You go, girl. You're still going to do more physical labor, which is the gym. It's at my pace, but it's still work. You know what? You go, girl. Yeah, someone to be proud of that. Because I would be proud of that if my man is doing that. So I would expect for the man to hold me up to that kind of standard. See what I mean? So I would like to think that I am an ideal mate for a lot of guys out there. But I understand that I have my problems. You know, I have a shitload of problems that may make me unattractive to some folks. But guess what? My goal is not to be liked by everybody. I don't have to be liked by everybody. I know that's impossible. But at least I would hope that I am making myself more considerable. Like, oh yeah, look at that girl. She got everything. She's on top of everything. You know? That's the kind of perception and message that I like to send out with my appearance personally on my end. And I guess my status too. Like at least I'm someone who has a clean record. I don't get in trouble, this and that. So I like to think that a guy would be like, you know what, girl? Sure, I would pick you as my mate because you're in optimal conditions, ideal shape. Maybe I'm not perfect. I don't think anyone out there is ever perfect for anybody, but at least you can see that I'm serious when I mean business. You know, that I mean business. That's what I mean. So, but anyways, guys, like always, that's just my opinion. Smiling is definitely preferred over duck lips. Oh, fuck duck lips. What in the hell is this? Where did this come from? Like, people who take selfies like that. That bullshit needs to stop. Yeah, I hate it. When I started seeing duck face photos, I hate it. Hate it. I think people have to be attracted to each other to hook up at all. Not in a shallow way, but I don't think I can't wait. I don't think. I guess you mean you? I can fall in love with someone they genuinely find hideous, but I don't think can fall in love with anyone. Okay, I see what you're saying now. Yeah, it's like even people who are ugly, there may be something nice about them. Maybe the person who has an ugly face, they may be tall, they may be fit, maybe they have an ideal skin color, an ideal eye color, lip shape. Maybe there are some guys that have a natural musky scent. I find that hot. So maybe it's not even about your appearance. It could be something chemical going on inside of you that you exude, and you can drive a girl wild like that. That's a sense that we don't think about because we cannot see smell. But if you think about it, sometimes you can just sniff out the right person. That's another factor to consider. Whereas I can see someone as ugly if their smell is just not all that good. You know, you ever meet someone and they've never done anything to you, but for some reason you just don't like them? Maybe that's it. Maybe they have this scent to them that doesn't agree with yours. So, what do you do then? But, anyways, that's just me trying to draw conclusions. Have to like something about their appearance for it to work, in my opinion. Yeah, some people may find it that they're into me because of my hair. Maybe they're into me because of my height, because of my lip shape, because of my teeth. It could be anything. To me, I think gapped teeth are ugly as hell. But some people find it incredibly sexy. I don't. I don't like it personally, but someone out there will like it. It's like when it comes to making videos, drawing something, painting something, the clothes that you wear, your style, someone out there will like it. It's amazing. Someone out there will like it to the point that they would be willing to spend money on it. So, what do you do then? Everyone's opinion is different. But we can agree that there are traits that are preferred over other traits. And there is nothing wrong with that. There's no hidden agenda when it comes to that. Some people would look at me and they would find me exotic for some reason. So What do you do then? I'm not trying to do anything. I don't think there's anything special about me, but there's people out there who just think so. So, thanks. What can you do? You can't control people. A lack of intelligence and immaturity are both unattractive to me, for example. Oh, absolutely. Like, there is nothing worse than you're trying to have a conversation with someone about something that's, you know, important, constructive, with potential, and then they just have a poor attitude about it. Either they get too emotional, or they don't give you enough feedback, or they're ignorant. It's like, come on, dude, you need to be able to know something. And if you don't know the answers to something, be like, I don't know about that. Can you tell me about it? Okay, based on what you told me, this is my first impression. Anything. Why can people not sustain a conversation? I don't get it. Like, people just give up or they don't even try. I cannot believe that you're never ever in the mood to have any kind of complex conversation. Like, what are you doing with your life? And how do you expect to retain me if you're not feeding me? If you're not like keeping me mentally stimulated, like I described it to someone. Like, what the hell? Be fun to be around. A face that looks like a taco box is a turn off for me, but some young punk rocker might be into it. Interesting. Yeah, there's people who are really into the goth people, like the emo looking folks. Cool. There's people who are more into the metro look. There's people who are into fat people. There's people who are absolutely into fit people, which I would expect is the ideal, but there's people who are attracted to really slim people. Like, you look at them and they're like toothpicks. For me, a turn off is when all of this is all built up. Ooh. But then for some reason, I look at your legs and you're just, what the fuck? What is that? Why do you have rooster legs? Somebody, please work that man's legs out. So, like, okay, chest is nice, arms is nice, but you need to have a certain symmetry to you. It's like an upside down pear. You're like this, but then we get to your bottom and it's like, I hope you guys know what I mean. I see this at the gym a lot. That's why I bring that up. If girls store fat in their butt, it's attractive, but around their waist is rather unpleasant. Yeah, I can imagine. I can see that because it throws off the the dimensions. It's like the human body, you can tell that it has a certain appearance to it. Like your spine, as far as I'm concerned, it needs to have like a little bit of an S shape to it. So if you're someone who's like all limp or something, you cannot be expected to be preferred. Like, that's why there's women who really exaggerate sticking their butt out, and I'm like, okay, that's exaggerated. If you don't have an ass, you cannot expect to be like showing it off. That's why you go to the gym and you work on it, because you do not have the genes to support that. But even if you have nothing back there, you can develop it. There's people who have naturally developed legs. Therefore, I do not expect you to kill yourself at the gym doing that. For me, my thighs tend to be relatively developed. But if you look at my calves, like, I have absolutely no muscle there. So I tend to focus on that area of me. And I also have really skinny wrists. So what I am trying to do is develop my forearms so that I can have a little more, what can I say? Just put more mass on me. So I think I'm looking all right. I'm perfectly happy with how I look. And even if people were not complimenting me on it, I'm just confident. But if you are someone who claims to be confident and it bothers you when people give you an opinion that you're not anticipating or expecting, you're not being true to yourself. If you're truly happy with yourself, if someone disagrees with you or they do not compliment you, you're not going to be offended by that. But there's some people who I have personally met, specifically girls, who are like, I cannot believe that this person would say that about me. Like, let's say that they're overweight. They're just pointing something out that's obvious. And what are you doing to work on it? And if you're truly happy in your out of shape body, why are you complaining and bitching about it? You're being fake. So a lot of people would get mad at me, and I lost a lot of friendships because I do not lie. I cannot stand not being genuine. So there was a time in which I had a terrible body because I was sedentary. Then I said, you know what? It shouldn't be difficult to breathe. And also, I just want to look better. If I look better, I'll love myself more and respect myself more, and I will not need the approval of others. So even if I didn't know you guys, even if I didn't have the friends that I have who support me and also tell me nice things very often, I do not need that to feel confident about myself. It helps. It's a boost. Don't get me wrong. But in the grand scheme of things, if all of y'all just disappeared from my life, I would be okay. Confident. Self confident. It does not depend on the validation and reinforcement of others. So if you're someone who constantly needs reinforcement from others, your self esteem is fucking low and you need to do something about it. Not us. But again, like everything, that's just my opinion. Let's see. Where am I at? Glasses turn me on too for some reason. Oh, well. Basically, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Yep. I think I'm an ideal mate, but I have a shitload of problems. Exactly. It's like I just contradicted myself there, but in the same manner that I have a ton of problems, I'm sure that you secretly have a lot of problems. Maybe you're lacking in your confident department, but you're trying to leave a good impression, so you're not letting it show. For me personally, sometimes I have my insecurities, my anxiety. Everything bad in life happens at the same time. But you know what I do? I recur to my weapons. And I'm like, you know what? I'll let this do the talking for me. Go with the flow. But at least on the basics of being a good partner, I believe I have those taken care of. Like if the guy that I'm with were to just vanish from my life, I would be okay. I don't depend on him. I don't need him. So like I've said before, if you can make it on your own, completely by yourself, I think you're on your way to being an ideal mate. You don't bring problems, you don't struggle with anything. Your partner pretty much adds to your life and to your enjoyment. If you're in that stage, I think you're doing it right. And that's where I feel like I'm at. Um, like another thing that I consider a problem that I have is sometimes I get I suffer from that issue of I become too comfortable in my relationships. So I'm not the kind of person who starts letting herself go, for example, or I stop doing the nice things I would do for you in the beginning. Quite the opposite. That mess will amplify the longer together we are. But what I do notice about me is that if there is something that's become a pattern, I may not be as patient with you. Say, if you're someone who needs to be reminded about your appointments or something, it's like, dude, you got a phone. Why are you not using it? Dude, you got this is something that's essential in your life. How can you not remember it? Like, I will become a little frustrated when your performance on certain things could be better and you're just not getting better at it. And we've been together for a long time for me to be like, you're not improving. So if I don't see any improvement or attempts to improve, that's when I get a little like sassy and a little um I start nagging here and there. But if you're on top of everything, shoot, I won't be the kind of person to just talk a lot. The only time I'll become a bug is if it's affecting you and it's your responsibility. Like, say, if you, for some reason, were going to your job and you keep arriving tardy, I'll be like, dude, what the hell? Why don't you leave your stuff ready the night before so you can just pick up and go? Little things like that. Let's see, where am I at? I cannot date a girl who I would feel self conscious being seen in public with. Sounds fair. So you're saying you want the perfect package. Sup, Alice? Jordan, you. If everyone went to the gym consistently and lifted, did cardio, etc., the world would be a very different place. Yeah! Be responsible for your own self esteem. Exactly. That is such a basic, elemental thing, but you do not grasp that until another time in your life, like as a kid, as an adolescent, as a beginning adult. I did not really think that way entirely, but now it's like it is absolutely, utterly true. Like, if you don't feel good about yourself before someone arrives in your life, if someone arrives in your life and that's when you finally become confident about yourself, you're depending on that person for the way that you feel. So if you're someone who has like an incredibly low self esteem and then someone arrives in your life and they start making you feel good, are you feeling good because they are present and making you feel that way? Or is it because you, by yourself, are beginning to see what they see in you and value you for, to where if that person vanishes from your life, you will not crumble? Like, there's people who are made out of like crackers. The moment they lose someone, it's like, ugh, they fall apart. Why? Why? So I don't know. Maybe I'm just cold blooded or something, but it's crazy. I cannot imagine allowing myself to just crumble because of someone. See what I mean? It sounds nice in movies, but in practicality, that's it sounds more like a flaw, if you ask me. It's like Cosmopolitan magazine having a 600-pound woman undercover. Sure, be happy with who you are, but being morbidly obese is simply unhealthy, whether everyone wants to acknowledge it or not. Yep. Because that's the thing. When it comes to weight, these movements of self love and bullshit, it's sending the wrong message. It's trying to normalize that and saying that you have to be considered attractive for being out of shape when that goes against what we biologically are designed to do. When it comes down to it, dating is really interviewing people to see who's your best potential, who's your best candidate. If you are fat and you don't have your resources together and you're just not in shape, how can we prefer you? How can we lean more towards you? Whereas if you're someone who has resources, are physically fit, and got your stuff put well together, of course people are going to favor you. Because when it comes from an evolutionary point of view, that's just how we are. It happens in nature too. Like, it's like I was telling someone, if you are a bird who has broken wings and I'm a perfectly healthy female, why on God's green earth would I want to lean towards you as my potential mate? You are the male. So you're the one who's supposed to be the leader. But if you're the leader and you're injured, we're gonna get fucked right along with you. Because we're defenseless. You're leaving us defenseless. But if you can provide and supply for us, despite your limitations, then all right, you're an optimal mate regardless, because somehow you have resources working for you, to where if you're physically like messed up, then we ain't gotta worry about anything. But if you're only going to contribute or prolong the stress, why on God's green earth would I get involved with something like that? See what I mean? So it may sound mean because we have laws now that protect everybody, and now we have advocacy groups about, body image and so on and so forth. But the reality is that you're trying to reconfigure the way we are wired by nature to function. It's like you are trying to train us to be attracted to people who are not in the best shape for offspring. Of course, if you're a healthy person, you're more likely to have healthy offspring, which is really what living beings are about, reproduction. So it's like survival of the fittest. The unfit in a group of living beings are more likely to just not make it into the next generation. So that's why I'm against these advocacy movements to a certain extent, because I'm like, you're trying to normalize something that puts you in peril. If you were advocating for something that's positive, sure, but you're trying to masquerade it as something that it is not. And we are calling you out on it. And you're getting upset about that. Why? I cannot respect you if that's the kind of attitude that you have. I like for people to be responsible and accountable for their actions, their decisions, just like I am. Like, I hold myself to that standard. But you're trying to ask us to not do that, to lower the bar so that you have a better chance at making it in life. No! Improve yourself, build yourself. That's better than just remaining weak and out of shape. And then we're lowering the bar to give you a chance, but then we start declining ourselves because we're trying to accommodate you. So, again, my opinion. This is from a source of ignorance, just like I tell a friend of mine, so I may be full of shit, but that's just how I see the world. Some people out there are going to agree, some people are going to disagree, but anyways, I find that it works for me to have that concept in my mind. Let's see, where am I at? That's coming soon at this rate, Jordan. Test holiday. It already happened. I guess my ideal mate would be a nerdy girl, smart with small boobs, big butt, long hair, and cute smile. Maybe I'm weird. Let's see. When I describe my so-called shoot, the term left me, but my unconventional crush, it used to be this guy who was, first of all, he was incredibly tall. He was like very easily over 6'3" or something. Let's say 6'5". He was definitely super tall. And his facial features seemed more oriental, which is something that I'm just naturally not into. And he was incredibly slender. It was like a walking toothpick. But something about him, somehow, it attracted me. But I saw better things and better traits as well, personality traits too. Like, he was a nice guy, sweet guy. He never knew that I liked him, but I found someone who, without even trying, or without me having to try to find the positive stuff about him, I was like, I can mess with him. So in the end, there's always going to be someone who's going to surpass the mate that you're with. So that's when you got to make a decision. Can you really commit and settle for just this one partner? Or is that commitment something that's not for you? It's okay to be someone who cannot commit, but you cannot expect for things to go well for you and expect for people to agree with your ways. Like, if you're someone who cannot settle for someone and you would rather have open relationships, you got to be willing to accept the consequences of that. For me, I like someone who I can commit with and have an absolutely closed relationship, monogamous. Stick to just one person. But if you're someone who's just an utter failure, you cannot expect to retain me for the rest of your life if you're not satisfying me. It's very, you can expect and pretty much guarantee that at some point I'll be fed up and leave if you're not satisfying me. whether you're nice guy, good provider, whatever it is. If you're not making me feel full and whole, you can expect that at some point I'll just pack up and go. But but yeah, you guys, that's what I think. You cannot really just force anybody into staying somewhere that they just cannot like or handle. See what I mean? Um, where am I at? She would literally weigh 25% of a Mazda Miata. They want to show you can be big and beautiful like okie dokie, except it's also very unhealthy and we're assholes if we point that out. Yeah, like if you think about it, let's think about that critically. If you accept someone who is super fat into your life, at some point you can expect for them to develop health problems. If you're in the United States, health is expensive. Healthcare is expensive. You are committing yourself to someone who is going to bring you financial problems in the future. Because if you're this individual spouse, you are responsible for them. So, how are you supposed to have respect for someone who's already not respecting themselves by giving you the worry and uncertainty for the future that they're going to develop problems that you are definitely going to have to address with her? So, say you're working hard all of these years so that you can retire early and travel or something, and then all that money, all that effort, all that time that you spent has to go on keeping someone alive. Is that fucking fair? I don't think it is. Like, I would not expect for someone to make themselves responsible for me. Just like when I have my health problems and I have people offering me to help cover for the expense, I'm like, no, I'm a perfectly grown ass woman. Why do I not have that problem resolved for me? I don't need to be taking from you. I don't need to be burdening you. Even if you say, oh, I do it out of the kindness of my heart, I don't expect anything in return. No, that's wrong. I'm responsible. I gotta be responsible. So, and like, that's something that I would not want to put my family or my mate through. It's not fair on you, especially if you're working hard, doing things right, so that you can live a better life. Like I mentioned earlier, I want to be adding to your life good stuff, not problems, worries, anxiety, concern. Nobody deserves that. And it's okay for you to express that you're not willing to go through that. Um, because it needs to be fair. There needs to be balance. Because otherwise, one side of the relationship is going to resent the fact that they're not being fulfilled to their greatest potential. See what I mean? But anyways, um, where am I at? Nowadays, people will label you as transphobic if you're not attracted to a motherfucking transgender. Yeah, that is definitely a stream that is pending. So I'll make sure to do it at a good time so that everybody can be here. I'm okay looking, but I'm loyal and I'm a music junkie, so I usually vibe with people that really appreciate music. I don't care if you're super hot, but you have the same music and learn everything else. For me, something that I gravitate towards is people who have a fine taste in foods. Specifically, it depends on my mood. Sometimes I'm looking for someone's expertise on pastries, someone's expertise on, I don't know, meats or bakery stuff, chocolates. I can always have a chocolate conversation with absolutely anybody. The produces that are in season, citrus. I love citrus. So I'm always in the mood to be discussing that stuff. So if you're someone who has an appreciation for food and food quality and stuff like that, you got me. But if you're someone whose culinary experience is painfully limited, I'm gonna be frustrated here and there. But I can tolerate it, but just don't expect for me to be excited about the fact that you cannot share a passion with me. See what I mean? Now, fortunately, I believe that I'm pretty like versatile to where there is always something that I can connect with you on, but That's just a good way to start with me. Talk to me about food. Right, Webby? Food. Male to female, although it probably works both ways. Nah, that doesn't mean MTF. That means motherfucker. Your thumbnail turned me on. That's funny. I knew someone would say something about it. It's not a face that I'm used to doing. People don't consciously think in terms of survival of the fittest, but it's subconscious and biological. Only humans have the choice to challenge biology due to laziness. And you know why that is? Because we have implemented a society that tries to value other stuff and tries to reconfigure us to think in a manner that no longer aligns with our biology. But no matter what, biology will triumph. And that is what a lot of people are trying to challenge, the natural order and the natural way of things. You're That's a very difficult fight. So yeah, that's what I think. Let's see. All right, guys, I'm going to catch up with you, and I'm gonna have to bail. But this has been interesting. I've loved this. Yeah, that's fucked up. Indeed, I am not good looking, so I learned how to make money from young. You don't have to have money or be good looking, actually, although looks do count. If you're not making me feel full or whole, you can expect me to leave. That's game. Didn't expect to hear that here. Of you're not making a fool, that is what she say. Oh, half I. Making me feel full. Yeah, fulfilled. I guess I could have said, but the word just my brain is just not functioning. Last night, I was texting someone and I could not form a sentence at all. And on top of that, I was trying to text with. Yeah, I wasn't thinking in terms of that approach, but you're right in saying it that way. Ruda too is. What's your idea, mate? I love cheese Danish. Cheese Danishes are awesome. Good looking, mutual attraction on the same wavelength as me, cooperation, femininity. That's pretty much the general framework we have to lust after each other too. Man to female is how they put it on MDSF, so I figure that's how it was to be done, but I really don't know. Yeah, but I'm a chef, so. Where are you? Food is always gonna be there, but I met some people that don't like music. Those people seem like serial killers. Who does not like music? That person got problems. That person really got some issues. How is it possible for a human to not like music? Introduce me to that person. We need to interview them or do something with them. But that I have never heard someone say they don't like music. I know people who, like me, they don't like obnoxiously loud music that is poor quality, but to not enjoy any kind of music, I'm intrigued, but not in the positive way. It's like, I need to examine that brain. That's what I want to do. Um, let's see. I have been learning to cook from YouTube. I think I have talent. Food solves all problems. Yep. Or aggravates them if you eat like a like an irresponsible animal and then you have physical consequences. Food soda, we agree on the Zam and chocolate milk. Yes. Webby. If you ever see a chocolate milk at a store called Coco Metro, Belgian chocolate milk, that is my all-time favorite milk in the world. Bitch, they need to sponsor me. But yeah, that is absolutely the best milk in the world. It's kind of expensive. Like a half gallon container, it's like $6, $7. To me, that's expensive. But if you ever see that brand, Coco Metro, Belgian chocolate, refrigerated, try it. Try it. Or else, I don't know. I will find you and we will have a Coco Metro chocolate drink date. But you must try that. Must try that. I have some in my refrigerator right now. Is it getting harder to find a feminine girl? I mean, I guess, what can I say? What even is femininity anymore? Like, it seems to be a term that has lost its meaning. Not even I'm sure what classifies as feminine. Because I guess we got used to, I guess a feminine trait is supposed to be the submissiveness aspect, and now more women are becoming more prepared, having degrees, having jobs, opting for being an independent woman, trying to say, I don't need no man in my life, yet you're depending on welfare on some instances. So I guess we should have a femininity topic since I talked about masculinity. I did not write that down on my clipboard, so it's time I did. But yeah, that would be an interesting discussion because I feel like I'm out of touch with what's supposed to be the female way of life and whatnot. And people do say that they like a feminine person and that I'm feminine. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm doing things right. But again, I do things to please myself, really, more than anything. I don't need to be having the approval of others. Although, if people's overall perception of me is positive, that will help me be like, okay, I'm making right decisions. People find me, um, what is it? It's nice to be in my presence. That matters. I'm not going to sit here and act like it wouldn't matter to me to be considered someone people find pleasant and gravitate toward. But all in all, I'm doing the things, introspecting and doing the things that I think work for me and satisfy me. And if most people can get on board, great. But if not, what can I say? I learned to really focus on me. There was a time in which I did not focus on me at all, and I was really, really, really miserable. I just don't want to get back to that stage in my life, you know? Um, Coco, what? Coco Metro, like metro area. Metro. And it's spelled COCOA. Metro. True, food brings people together. If you don't like music, you might be a communist. Cucametro, I probably won't find it in this small ass area, but I'll look around. We have a local brand, Holton Farms Dairy. That's my usual go-to. Never heard of it. I'll settle for Oakhurst or anything as long as I get my milk. Exactly. Feminine is a female who does not try to be dominant over man and embraces her female attributes. Exactly. What exactly are female attributes anymore? Be yourself and the rest will follow. There will always be those who like and dislike you for that. The right ones won't dislike you for being yourself. No more saying. All right, guys. Well, I am going to bail right now. So